What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the... Oh my god, I keep wanting to say welcome back to my channel. Like my YouTube channel now. Okay. Welcome back to Keep Your Torch Lit. I'm Sarah X.
I am Sam.
And guess what, guys? Jack is at the market. Apparently the market has a lot of traffic right now, so... But...
SMH Jack. Wow. That was pretty shitty.
The thing is... It's not even like a big deal because we have some other people joining us today, right?
Yes, we do. We have some very, very beautiful, wonderful voices joining us today.
Who could it be?
Usually we have as our guests the people or person, in this case people, who are voted off in that episode. But this time we are actually doing something different. We're going because the two guests, that would be Emily Levy and Nick, aren't connected to the Survivor Michigan community, and instead we're having some guests that are really excited to be on here because we're probably going to be having a lot of the other contestants for all the other podcasts throughout the season. This is really the only chance to have these very special, beautiful voices. So let's see who they are.
Who is this?
Hi guys, it's Ian.
Ian, notorious editor of season 2 and now season 3.
How is it going?
Jack's at the market.
Where's Big Coop Dog?
Yeah, where's Coop Dog?
The big C, the big cheese.
The big cheese. I think that he's. I think he's still finishing that shotgun, Ian. I don't think he's done. I don't think he's done yet. So we might have to wait until he finishes that shotgun before he joins.
For sure.
Any one of these years now, he's gonna finish it, and we can see how he's doing.
I think maybe one day soon he might finally finish it. That was a tough look for Cooper. Let's be real.
Hey,
oh, there he is.
There he is. He just finished it. There we go.
Cooper, you just finished shotgunning that natty?
Yeah, that's why it was taking me a little extra time to get on. I was taking a bit long.
Oh my gosh. What's up, guys? How have you guys been?
I've been all right.
Great.
We graduated, so that was fun. We graduated during a pandemic, so that was super fun. I watched my first Survivor episode since the last time you talked to me.
Oh yeah.
When I edited season 2, I had only watched College Survivor. I'd seen the All-Star season of Survivor Maryland and Michigan season 1. Now I've seen Winners at War, Samoa, Micronesia, Heroes vs. Villains, Cagayan, and Second Chance. So I'm now quite informed on what's going on with the Survivor landscape.
Yeah, and I noticed your editing got even better now that you've seen all these seasons. Like, the music matches so well this season.
Thank you.
It's just really good, yeah.
There's moments where I watch back on season 2 stuff, which was still, I think, really good. But there's some parts where I'm like, oh my god, I could have done that so much better, you know? Hopefully, like, years from now when I watch, like, season 3, I'll think the same thing once we're on to, like, the other seasons.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's how it goes. You have that improvement each time, and I think that's one of the signs of just how great your work has been. And that even though you're like making improvements and the editing's getting better, you can still look back on season 2 and everyone's like, "That was such an incredible season of Survivor Michigan."
Oh, thank you guys. It's so nice.
Like Ian said, I also graduated,
Cooper?
So I'm in the real world now, I guess. Haven't fully started my job yet, but I start remotely in about a month.
Ooh.
I'm also eating ice cream.
What kind of ice cream?
Yeah, I think it's like, I don't even know. It's some kind of like raspberry chocolate chip kind of thing.
Chocolate chips in raspberries? That's perverse.
No, it's not like it's not actual chocolate chips. They're just like pieces of little chocolate.
Oh.
And you can't tell, I'm living at home, so sometimes I just dig into the freezer.
Oh, guys, we can watch our post-episode poll come in live while we're
Oh.
on this.
Ooh, that's really cool. That's a perfect social media segment.
Yeah. Since we have some of the editing team on, why don't we talk a little bit about how you guys have been editing during this quarantine time?
I mean, honestly, it has made our editing so much faster because we all have so much time to do nothing.
There's nowhere to go after work, right? Everything's shut down. Might as well just hop on the computer and watch like millions of hours of Ben and Crouch and Elisa and all these people.
How it works is we have basically a few-step process. So the first step is we have all the videos that exist for the season, all the different people's videos from all the different episodes. We have people go through and watch all of the videos and then pick out, or they summarize them basically and say like, oh, between minute 1 and minute 5, this is like Brady talking about wanting to vote off Emily L. in between minute 6 and minute 10, it's Brady talking about his alliance with Chloe or something like that. And we also will bold, important, quotes like I can't stand Aaron or something along those lines that you're gonna want to put in later. And so
there were a few of those.
Yeah, you get a few I can't stand Aaron's per video if it's a Ben or Will video. So that's just kind of how it goes, just kind of par for the course. So then once we have all the videos summarized, then we have people who storyboard the episode, which for this season was Cooper and Sam. And basically they go through and they pick out the little chunks and stuff that they think would be good for the episode, and they sort of line them up, and they write that out in a Google Doc. Then we have a team of editors who puts that Google Doc into actual Adobe Premiere and has all the clips lined up basically in the same order. And the storyboard doesn't include the challenges. It doesn't include the tribals. And then once we have that, then we'll go through again, and I'll watch through the episode, add in music, sound effects, move things around if it needs to be mixed, sometimes add footage if there wasn't quite enough. Usually the storyboard is probably maybe 60 to 70% of the way of what ends up being in the final episode, because there's usually some stuff you want to take out. It's a little longer than you thought it would be. Some stuff you feel like you need to add, certain people who need more screen time for later storylines, things like that. And when you're watching the episodes then back to back, you'll once we have enough episodes edited, you sort of have a sense of some episodes need a little bit more to set up things later on, and so on like that. So you sort of get a sense of all the different pieces have to fit together. And for season 2, this whole process is basically boiled down to just me, Cooper, and Sam. For season 3, we had a lot more people involved, which made it way easier. So there was a few other people involved in the editing for this season. There was a guy named TK Kim who did some editing, a girl named Mary Hepp, a guy named Adam Smolinski. Is that how his last name is pronounced? Okay.
Yes.
I was a little worried about that one. And a dude named Brent Carlson. All of them helped out edit. All of them were super awesome. And so it was really great to kind of expand the editing team and have more people involved, because this is quite an arduous process to do with a few people. You really need a lot of people working on it to make these episodes come out as clean as you want them to be.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a lot of work goes into it from a lot of different people. Ian's kind of the final editor, the main editor person. It kind of like you saying at the end is polishing everything up, and he has a lot of these fun little sequences. I know that one of your really cool ideas for this past episode was that iconic Andrew Cooper shotgun scene.
I actually missed that. Was that in the episode?
Oh, did you not? Oh, I can send it to you again.
I didn't quite see it.
I don't know if you've seen it. It used shotgunning very poorly. Did you miss that?
Against Andrew.
I would like to talk for about 20 seconds on that to get my side of the story. For those who don't know what a natty daddy is, that was one of those. It's basically double the size of a normal beer, and Crouch is Andrew. I apologize. I call him Crouch now. So Andrew is basically an animal and pounded that thing in 2 seconds, and it was twice a normal beer, so it took me a little while. I apologize.
We forgive you, Cooper.
But yes, also Andrew literally lives across the street from me, so that's why you kind of see us tailgating together. We both moved in, and we were just we live across the street from each other, and it was in the fall during football season, so it was super cool to just have somebody who was on the cast literally living across the street. So all those Andrew confessionals out on the porch, I could look out my window and just watch him doing those.
Oh,
We're just kind of
over.
peeking through the blinds, watching Andrew.
Yeah. It is really weird to me that Andrew is referred to on this season as Andrew, because I guess I don't know if your audience probably knows this or something, but I also lived with Cooper, and so for the entirety that we've known Andrew outside of Survivor, and referred to as Crouch, which is his last name. So it really gave me cognitive dissonance when I went into editing this season, and everyone was referring to him as Andrew. I was like, well, who the hell is Andrew? That guy's Crouch. That's his name. His name is Crouch. I've never called him Andrew in my life, and I don't think I ever will outside of editing season 3. So it's really disturbing to me if people called him Crouch or Andrew. I don't understand why he didn't just tell them his name was Crouch, because that's his name.
Yeah, because that's legally his name on his birth certificate.
It's true.
Another fun fact: Ian had me record a voiceover, and he was like, "Oh, do this thing for Crouch." So I used Crouch in the voiceover, and Ian was like, "You're gonna have to redo that. His name's actually Andrew." And I was like, "Wow!" I haven't spoken that name in literally years.
I think. Yeah. Cooper, were you trying to get your digs in with him? You were annoyed that this beer drinking shot was going to be in, so you said that Andrew can't get it up at one point during the challenge, which I thought was interesting.
Jeff Probst likes to throw in some little innuendos. So I figured we went back and we did that as a voiceover. I don't know if you could tell, but I figured I'd throw in a little one myself. So I don't know. I just kind of
Cooper's been studying up.
Yeah, been watching my Jeff Probst clips.
Cooper's sitting here with his raspberry ice cream and his chocolate and watching his Jeff Probst and staring through the blinds at Andrew, and it's been a grand old time.
Mm-hmm.
Cooper, you got to get a Jeff Probst outfit.
You know, sometimes I wear like kind of that blue flannel that's like similar to one of his like button downs. It's not exact, but most of the time I just go with my classic yellow sweatshirt. So I don't know. I'm not very Jeff Probsty in my look.
That yellow sweatshirt is iconic.
And you're very Cooper James in your look. You have your own little ambiance going on.
I got my own style. I don't know if you want to call it style really, but it's my own style.
It's like almost fashion icon, but like not quite there yet.
I think it's the opposite of fashion icon.
Okay, while we're on the fashion icon thing, Cooper actually brought this up that we missed a very good opportunity to recognize some fashion icons in our first episode. So Sarah, do we want to crown our fashion icons of episode 1?
Yeah, our fashion icon of episode 1 is Richard because he was rocking that T-shirt the entire episode. What was the T-shirt?
It was a Back to the Future shirt.
See, the question was, did he ever take it off?
No. Yeah, I think he wore it for 9 days.
It doesn't make. Did he wear it every time he did something for Survivor, like on purpose, or did he literally just not shower for like a week and a half?
I think he thought that he was actually on Survivor and he like couldn't shower and stuff. Yeah.
Maybe it's a good thing he went first, or else we would have him wearing that shirt for 100 days.
Good God. I hope he gets another shirt. I feel like we should crowdsource and buy him a second shirt just so he doesn't have to keep wearing the same one.
Let's buy him a Back to the Future 2 shirt. That way he has the sequel.
On Snapchat, he only does that Survivor Michigan t-shirt. Every Snapchat I've ever seen of Richard is him in a Survivor Michigan t-shirt.
True, he also does wear that. We should give our listeners like his Venmo or something and see if we can really get him some money to buy another t-shirt.
Oh,
hey, that worked out for Maggie. So I think if we put Richard's Venmo up.
Yeah, I like that.
In what episode, Ian?
I don't know. I don't know what episode that would work in. Maybe we have a Richard flashback at some point. We'll put up.
Speaking of Richard, let's talk about a little bit about what happens right after he gets voted out.
We get some, confessionals that you didn't want to put in episode 1 because it would revealed Richard going home. But you get some Andrew just roasting Richard, calling him a scumbag, saying he sucks at the game, saying I can't wait for that kid to go home. I mean, he's really just tearing into Richard. And it's a bit tough to watch, really.
It's like this kid just like kept talking, and I just wanted to leave the whole time.
Yeah, something I noticed is that a lot of season 3 people are pretty brutal when they talk about the other players.
This has got to be the most brutal season yet, I feel like.
Yeah.
They go off in their confessionals. Like, their confessionals, oh my God.
I know. I think that Kevin was actually supposed to be in season 3. Maybe he just kind of got lost. Used Mallory's time machine and accidentally went to season 2 instead.
Yeah, but, Kevin would have fit right in with season 3, where everyone is just shitting on each other constantly, except for Austin, who loves everybody.
And I feel like Elisa's pretty nice too.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah. Going here on this Andrew train here, I want to give him an honorable mention for fashion icon, as he has this pineapple Hawaiian shirt with his bucket hat and his buff around his bucket hat. It's definitely a vibe. I don't know what the style is. It's definitely very unique. I'm a fan of his tribal garb here.
Yeah. I have a question though. Where did Will get the idea of forming that cross-tribal alliance with Ben and Brady? Like, where did he even get that idea?
I think he just pulled that out of his own ass. He didn't know that Ben and Brady were talking. He basically just was like, he wanted someone from his tribe to talk to someone from Tafiti, and just by complete coincidence made it Ben and Brady. And so you see kind of Ben and Brady talk about it, and Ben's he's dumbfounded. He's like, Will literally suggested that the two of us talk. So just completely by chance, Will suggested the exact thing that was literally already happening.
That's funny.
And for some reason, I don't know why this analogy pops into my head when I watch this, but I kind of picture it as let's say that Will and Ben are in a relationship, and Brady is this like mistress that like Ben is secretly cheating on Will with. And then Will's like, hey, you know what? I have an idea. Why don't you and this girl start hanging out together one-on-one? And like, you know, maybe you guys can like do, you know, just hang out and, you know, become friends. And they're like, oh yeah, you know, maybe that's a good idea. I never thought of that.
Will's a very generous partner in that hypothetical scenario.
He's very a generous partner in that hypothetical scenario.
But guys, how many steps ahead of everyone is Ben?
So somebody I saw there's a funny YouTube comment already. Somebody was like trying to math it out. They were like, okay, well honestly, I'm just gonna go to it real quick because it was so funny.
Oh, that was from Swale. Survivor Maryland.
Swale Nita.
I thought it was Swale. Yeah, Swale. He's on season 6, Survivor Maryland season 6 legend.
Well, he said.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't
he
know
says
he was on
if
the
Ben
show.
is so Swale from Survivor Maryland says if Ben is 3 steps ahead of Will and 15 steps ahead of Sabu Sabu, but 20 steps ahead of every person on his tribe, how many steps ahead of Brady is he? And I don't know how that works out at all because actually Tafiti is not mentioned anywhere in that equation, so I'm not sure if he's any steps ahead of Brady, but he's at least 38 steps ahead of Will based on this calculation. So he's
all that made me think of was, do you know like the like weird 3D drawings of like stairs that like as your eyes follow them around, it just like never stops? Like that's the only thing I could picture while you were saying that.
That's how far ahead that Ben is right now. That's
infinitely. Just keep going.
Yeah, pretty infinite.
It doesn't end. But I just like how he changes the number of steps each confessional. Like it increases so quickly. He's like, I'm 3 steps ahead of him. I'm already 25 steps at every person. I'm already 800 steps ahead of every other person in this game. Are you kidding me? My mom
is he 179 steps ahead of Richard? 179.
My mom is asking me why there's so many shirtless people this season. She's like, why is no one wearing clothes in any part of this show anymore?
Wait,
I think it's just
so
Brady.
Brady's always shirtless.
And Ben. In this episode, Ben is too, like a bunch.
You're right.
And then Crouch was shirtless with his shotgun. And my mom's just like, what's going on here? Like, what is all this eye candy? What's happening?
I can't get the picture of Cooper's like creeping on Crouch out of my mind now. Just like from the blind.
Yeah, just watching.
He just pulled the blinds down.
Just Crouch's legs, you know, because Crouch has got like, you know, we were talking about this, you know, how if you listen to season 1 of KYTL, how Tarowski always has these confessionals where he just like has his legs are just all out there. He just got these really big, long legs that are just always in frame. And then Crouch is kind of like Tarowski light here. So maybe this is kind of added to what Cooper's staring at from
well, he literally had a confessional where his legs were taking up like the whole screen. He was just like on the porch.
Yeah, and you'll see in a lot of his like videos with people, it's like in Ross and he's like in a conference room and his legs are just like kicked up on the table. It's so funny every time.
Yeah, it's you gotta love the Crouch legs.
You know, in this day and age, it's hard to feel safe in the world, but you know who does feel safe?
Nick.
I feel so safe.
What do I win?
Nick. I have to say that Nick has got to be like one of the most like probably one of the most oblivious players in all of Survivor Michigan, right? Like at least in these first 3 seasons. I mean, this dude, he's just like, I don't want to lie to anybody. Like I don't want to do anything, and he's just like, I feel safe, but for no reason.
I feel so safe. If they voted for me, that would be funny. It'd be very funny.
You guys want to know a funny Nick story? So Nick lived. Or actually, as our house referred to him as, we referred to him as Nicolas, because that's what he always said to us. He's like, oh, I'm Nicolas. So Nicolas lived around the corner from us and Andrew. And after season 3, he would like probably once or twice a semester show up at our house asking us if he could borrow something random out of nowhere. Like he would knock on our door, you'd open it, you'd be like, oh, it's Nick from Survivor. And he'd be like, do you have ping pong? And we'd be like, what? He's like, can I borrow a ping pong paddle? And you'd be like, okay, sure, whatever. He'd like come back a few days later and he'd be like, it is my birthday. I need a table. And like we were just like his rental service. Like I don't understand. And we gave him a table, and then I think he realized that he felt bad that he was asking us for a table, but hadn't invited us to his birthday. So he was like, "You can come if you would like." And we were like, "Probably not, but okay, thank you for the invitation."
The big question: does he still have our table from like?
Oh my god, you didn't get it back?
No, I feel like he had to give it back.
That's what you think.
We went through a lot of tables.
Oh my god.
I think that Nick, maybe he didn't completely realize he was playing Survivor. He thinks that Cooper is like, he knows Cooper is, some sort of position of authority. Cooper's like the boss or something. So Maybe he's just like, okay, I'll just go over to this guy Cooper. He's the one that's in charge. Even if I'm voted out, he's still in charge. He can give me things.
Is he AJ reincarnated? He just he doesn't know if he's on Survivor or not. Wasn't that the joke with AJ?
Ooh, that's true. It could be. See, the only thing that makes me think, but maybe not, is because he says something about I'm thinking about this game so much, I think that I will die from it.
Oh yeah.
Nick has more confessionals this episode than AJ does in all of season 2.
AJ have like one confessional the whole season.
Nah, he had like at least 2.
At least 2. Let's be real here.
I think he might have had like 3, honestly.
I think he might
have a stretch.
He had one in his boot episode for sure.
Yeah, so he probably had like 3.
3. We'll go with 3.
Nice.
I feel like you're like Ben here. You're just making up higher and higher numbers every time.
No, Ben would already be at like 50.
Nick, his confessionals make me nervous because he's always like kind of pacing, and it looks like he's talking to someone, but he's like not.
I was saying that he looks like he has to pee in all of his confessionals. Yeah. Like all of his confessionals, he's like pacing around. And I'm like, dude, this dude clearly had to piss while filming this. Like, I just want him to go to the bathroom and come back because I'm like, dude, like you clearly got to go, and when you got to go, you got to go. So just go. Like, come on, it's fine. We'll wait for you. It's okay.
See, this is a guy who is definitely starting to lose his mind due to Survivor. It's so funny if you listen to his confessional because he said talking about how like it's all I think about. Like I'm going crazy. He's texting Will at like 3:40 in the morning. He's like pacing around his room and saying that like he, starting to do all this wacky, crazy stuff. Like he was oblivious to the game. Then all of a sudden he started going crazy and thinking about it way too much.
That's sometimes the way the cookie crumbles.
Let's move on to this challenge. I love this challenge. I wish we'd gotten to do something like this because this looks really fun, especially when it's like 3 people against each other. I think we have some insider info about this challenge.
Oh yeah, little insider info. It's not even that much of an insider info, but I thought it was just a funny thing that I remembered. Was if you see some of those aerial shots on the challenge, you can kind of see like a view from higher up, and it's because Kevin was like, I'm gonna go and climb that tree over there, and I'm gonna get some very good shots, and you can see what the contestants are doing very well from that tree over there. And Kevin, he just runs and he goes up this tree, and he climbs like way up into this tree. And I just got this picture in my head of like, the story from the Bible of Zacchaeus, just like climbing up this tree to get the better view, and Kevin's just standing way up in this tree, and filming from up there, and that's where we got these aerial views.
Yeah, I was wondering where that shot came from.
We have a lot of people climbing trees this episode apparently because like later on you see Will is just like way up in that tree, and I don't know how he got up there, by the way, during that idol search.
They're like monkeys.
Yeah, honestly, Will and Kevin, these guys are just them in trees. I don't know.
So it seemed like they were pretty even in the beginning, but then Tormenta kind of fell behind, and Savu and Tafiti were kind of tied up, and then it came down to Eliza versus Emily Levy.
Here's a question I have. There's a moment where towards the end, Emily B just tanks Dylan and just gives Tormenta a free point. I don't understand what the point of that was, because Tormenta only had 2, and she gives him 3. But at that point, Tafiti also only had 3, so it wasn't like, I don't know. I was kind of confused by that.
I think she just wanted to give Tormenta the point because they were still in last place, rather than risk Tafiti. Yeah,
interesting.
We saw this challenge in season 1. And everyone started kind of trying to use that strategy of throwing it up and diving at the other person. Or no, that was the one where Matthew's I have this great strategy where I'm gonna throw the thing up and knock over the other person's cup. And then he doesn't do it at all, and then Cam totally does it way better. Remember that whole thing?
Yeah.
That strategy doesn't work when there's 3 people, because if you sacrifice yourself and go for the other person, like you were just talking about, Ian, then the third person wins.
I think I'd wait till there's 2 people left. I'd hold back and then go in for it for the last 2.
It seemed like a lot of people, their cups just dropped without even anybody touching it. They just didn't Brady win the first one by just standing there and the other people just dropped them. He was like, oh, okay.
One of the tough edits for this challenge was that there was some people in the diag where we were filming who were blasting music during this challenge. So it meant that you
Oh.
couldn't hear anything that was, like, in a lot of the shots, you can't hear anything that's going on. You just hear this loud music. I think you can still hear it in a few shots, but it took a long time to get the music sounding even half decent because every scene had this blasting music in it that just did not fit with Survivor at all. So
Oh
that's a
wow.
little editing tidbit for you that this is why filming in the diag, sometimes you can't control the people around you.
Yeah. The twist of this episode is that 2 tribes are going to tribal council. And it just so happens that Savu Savu won this one. So I kind of like when that happens because then it's not always like the same tribe going to tribal council every week. So we're getting every tribe going in these first couple episodes.
Yeah, it's
I thought that
basically
was-
perfect from an editing
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah, and that was also really cool, like kind of that hero moment for Eliza. Her versus Levy, it's like whoever wins this point wins the challenge. And it was also, I think, cool to see Sabu Sabu bring this one home because, like, I think that's really big for your tribe. It's talking strategically. If they would have lost that, all of a sudden they're down 2 people, and one of the other 2 tribes is completely intact. So 5-5-5 versus 5-6-5-4 is like a really big difference, I think. So that was definitely a really big win.
Yeah. You also got to remember at this tribe, these are only
Yeah, it was
tribes of,
huge.
like 5 people. So like if you're going to tribal, like it's not like you can hide in a tribe of like 8 or 9 like early on in a season like you normally can. Like these are small tribes. If you lose this challenge, like
Yeah.
there is a good shot if something goes weird, like you're going home.
That's so true. So Savu Savu decides to give the clues, and Andrew seemed to be really intense about this. He had like a reason for giving it to Levy, I think.
I think he thought she was on the bottom for sure.
Yeah.
So he was like, give her the clue. Like, let's get her an idol. Like, shake up their tribe.
Right, exactly. And then they gave it to Jesse as well. It was so awkward seeing Emily like trying to decide if she should share it or not. And like the rest of her tribe was so awkward.
Yeah,
that
was
really
so
tough to
bad.
watch. You, like, oh my god. You see her like she's like going to share it, and then people are like, "Wait, are you sharing it?" And then she literally pulls back and is like, "Wait, now I'm not going to share it." Like, if they had just like not said anything, she was probably just about to just read it aloud to all of them. Honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's so funny because you see like she's like reading it, she's just holding it right out there in the open, and Cassie like moves over and starts like peering over her shoulder, and she just like pulls it in. It's just like, oh no.
You hear Cassie at one point be like, "Yeah," and I already basically read half the clue. Like she did, like she had most of the information that was already on that clue. Kinda like at that point, it didn't even really matter that Emily hadn't shared it. Like Cassie had seen most of the clue.
Right.
How do people feel about Jesse's clue and what happened over on Tormenta with it?
I think it's funny that we sort of brushed over the title of this episode, which is Jesse not knowing what the clue is for.
Wait, what's the title of the episode again?
Oh yeah.
It was a clue to what?
Oh.
They're like, all right, we're giving out clues, and then Jesse's like, "Well, I get we're giving out clues, but like, what is a clue to what? What are you talking about?" And Will like goes on to explain to her how immunity idols work. And I thought this
funny.
was a good chance because sometimes, I guess most people watching the show probably know how all this stuff works, but sometimes you get people who don't know how it works. So I thought, it's a good opportunity to just explain to the audience if they don't know. Here's how an immunity idol works.
I think it's kind of funny how like this is the second time we've kind of had Will like explaining to Jesse like what things are. He's like the first episode he's like, "Oh, like Survivor's a game where you vote people off and you kind of form alliances and blah 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 blah." And then this time he's like, "Oh, like an idol is when you do this and then we can play it before the votes are read and stuff." I think it's kind of funny seeing like this kind of like weird relationship with the oldest person in the game and the youngest person in the game, where Jesse and Will clearly are not on the same page, but also Will's like still kind of teaching her about the game. Like it's just kind of funny to watch.
Am I wrong that Jesse is like one of the most perceptive people in the game, though?
Oh yeah.
I mean, Jesse, she just sniffs out Will and Ben and Emily P's bullshit so quickly. It's unbelievable.
I know.
Yeah.
Like she's not easily tricked, and I loved how you zoomed in on the little signs that she had in her confessionals. Like I remember one time she like kind of said something about Will, and then you zoomed in on the "excuse you, sir," and it was like perfect.
Those
She
are so
changed
funny.
it.
She changed those constantly in the backgrounds.
Yeah, Tormenta has definitely a lot of fun things going on, like a lot of big personalities for sure. We see Ben and Will they're kind of like this little like villainous duo.
Oh yeah, they're definitely the villains, but it seems like Ben already mentioned that he does not want to go to the end with Will. So it seems like there's definitely gonna be a rivalry at some point. But for now, they're working together.
It's like already Ben is like so paranoid that he's already talking about whether or not he wants to sit next to Will at Final Tribal. It's like week 2.
He's 5,000 steps ahead.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, see, he's already at the final tribal. That's how far ahead he is. He's just kind of sitting there, just waiting for the game to kind of catch up with him. But I thought it was funny that Will was like, I think that me and Emily and Ben, like, we're literally the brains tribe for Survivor Kagaya. And I feel like it's just such an accurate statement.
It's so accurate, but at the same time, you're like, oh my god, who would ever want to compare themselves to the brain tribe on Kagaya?
Yeah, like it's like a doomed, it's like a cursed tribe to compare yourself to,
An iconic one though, like both are definitely iconic, but like yikes, not the best comparison.
No, but Will is as neurotic as anyone on that tribe, if not more so, honestly.
Oh yeah. I think the fit works. I do think the fit works.
I mean, even just looking at the different people in the tribe, I think we talked about this maybe in the last episode, but like we literally have an aerospace PhD student, like Emily, who's like nuclear engineering. Aaron's very smart. Nicholas is engineering physics. Yeah. Like we have this very brainy tribe, and they're literally wearing the color green.
Yeah,
and like they're neurotic. Like it's literally the perfect comparison.
I did notice they were all being really mean to Aaron in their confessionals this week. I felt bad.
It's tough.
Yeah. Those are the things that are really hard to go back and watch so much footage of that. Like
it's like once you I mean, this all happened years ago, so it's like we're friends with all these people now,
Yeah.
And so you're watching it and you're just like, well, I think Erin's a great person. Like, why are they all just crapping on her? You're like, I don't understand this. And honestly, I sort of don't understand it. Like,
I don't.
From all the footage I watched from season 3, which was quite a bit, at no point is it really clear what initiated this distaste for Erin that they all seem to have.
Yeah.
But it just kind of materialized, and they're all just kind of like out on her.
I think they just like found one person to just like kind of just throw everything on, and they basically just like bonded as a tribe over that.
Exactly.
Which was like kind of sucky to go back and watch, but it sort of was like their gameplay. And going back to something you just said kind of earlier about how a lot of these people are friends now, and it's like a couple years out. I think if you asked a lot of these people who were saying these things in the episode, they would have totally different feelings now that they're out of the game. They've known Erin for 2 years. Like, so much is different now, too.
I think, like, they were just initially so excited that they weren't gonna, like, they had somebody to throw under the bus, that they all just kind of, like, got
How often do you see someone come out of losing a challenge and be giddy? I mean, Ben's first confessional there, right after the challenge, he's absolutely giddy. He's like, ha ha ha, and he's like drinking his LaCroix, and he's like, I am so ready to get Erin out. And it's like, wow.
I know. It is definitely hard to watch. It's weird, too, because, like, I think Emily had a confessional in there where she was like, yeah, I was talking to my friend.
Yeah.
I think that maybe that was the reason how maybe this initially started, was even just like a bad first impression from like somebody else that like isn't even a part of Survivor, which like, that's tough, to just start off on kind of the wrong foot there like that. And I do think that a lot of like what they're saying is pretty unwarranted, because like what we've all said, Erin is a very, very cool, very nice person. As much as it's hard to watch this stuff, I guess I did like what Will said about how he was like at least empathizing a little bit, saying that he felt kind of bad about some of the stuff they were saying. And I think it can be tough where it's like you start out as like this like strategy, right? Where it's like, yeah, you need to have this one person that's on the outs, that way it's not you. But then it so quickly it turns from that into like these negative comments, and that's where I think it kind of maybe turns into something that's a little bit worse than just strategy,
Yeah, it borders on bullying, frankly. I'd have to say, like, it's definitely like sort of unnecessary, the amount of crap being talked.
Yeah.
In that Emily Paddock confessional where she's talking about how she her friend explained to her not to trust Erin and stuff, there's a little editing secret, which is that Emily Paddock has this little kind of evil laugh she does that I thought was very funny, or when she's talking about things, she does this little hee, and it's like very particular. It's always the same. She always turns her head and does it. It's very like snake-like. And so watch throughout the season, you'll see Emily Paddock's little hee laugh, and it's always a push-in, always a cut-in to Emily Paddock whenever she does her little evil laugh. So keep on the lookout for that.
Yeah.
It's great. I do want to also repeat what Cooper said too, though, about like how knowing all these people now, years after the fact, all of them would definitely do not think these things about Aaron now. I just want to make that clear that like we're not trying to throw any people under the bus and be like, wow, these people are horrible people because they said these mean comments. And also like,
when you're in the game, it's like just so different from when you're not in the game, I think. So like,
yeah.
I think that in the game, they're when they're saying all this stuff about Aaron, I really think they're seeing it as her as a player, or like Aaron, she's like, not to like say she's not a person, but like she's not a person they like are friends with, So it's like they feel like fine shitting on her because they don't think that she's someone they're gonna have to be like friends with, I guess, or like have a real relationship with, because they just or planning to vote her out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I also think that it can be easy to get carried away when you're thinking about this as a TV show, right? You're there in front of the camera. You're trying to say, that thing that is good on camera and sound like it's that little sound bite. I think that sometimes people can get carried away when you're in front of the camera. You want to say your little sound bite. How it goes is that anything you say in these videos, one day it may or may not be on YouTube. I think a lot of people, it just seems so far out. You're filming these confessionals. You're trying to just make these good TV moments, and then people can get carried away sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about Dylan. He was under the radar, like both of these episodes, kind of. His one confessional this time was about filming with his roommate. What do we think about his position?
He's still winning in the post-episode poll for episode 2. So
really? Okay.
For Tafiti, he is still the most popular person on that tribe. So despite his lack of strategy, his confessionals are clearly connecting with the fans.
Ian, can we get a full update on is this a good time for full update on all those host polls?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do it.
So for episode 2 right now, there are only 30 responses right now, but we expect that to go up. Right now, Eliza is leading. Who's your current favorite member of Savu Savu? With 60% of the vote, Eliza is winning. Andrew and Austin both have 20%. Devin has 3%. Emily B has none.
Oh, whoa.
Ooh. Give your girl some love. Come on.
Yeah, this was like a not Emily B heavy episode.
Yeah,
though, so I get it. Who's your current favorite member of Tafiti? Dylan, 43% of the vote, followed by Chloe with 20%. Brady and I'm wrong. Cassie and Emily L tied with 13%. Brady with 7%. Sarah with 4%. Who's your current favorite member of Tormenta? Jesse, running away with it with 37% of the vote, followed by Emily P, Will, and Ben, who each have a somewhat similar percentage, and then Aaron and then Nick last. Which tribe is your favorite? 50% say Savu Savu.
Wow.
25% say Tafiti. 25% say Tormenta.
Oh, wow.
Dang.
Who is playing the best game? Eliza, 27% of the vote, followed by Andrew with followed by Ben with 20%, Andrew with 17%, and then everyone else is sort of split up amongst the rest.
Whoa.
SMH,
So,
Ben should be at about 99% because of how many steps ahead he is right now.
That's true. All these people clearly don't know what's going on. So clearly the fans have spoken. Savu Savu is what they want.
Ben is just 179 steps ahead of all the fans. I think that's why they don't even see where he is.
Yeah, they don't even know. They can't
They're
even see he's so far
Ben?
ahead. I'm surprised by that that Jesse coming out of Tormenta, because last week Jesse was not in the top 3, I don't think. But now,
Yeah, she had some good confessionals. This
jumped
one.
ahead in the polls.
Yeah.
She's confessional gold. Like, what else can you say about her? Just gold.
She's eating her Christian cake from the Christian Diag. And
I loved that. Something else, like, there was that, we're jumping ahead of it, I guess, but that moment where Andrew is talking about how no one does anything on Saturdays because Saturday's just a burn day. And then we get these confessionals of people, like, partying and stuff on Saturday, and my parents, when watching it, were like, would they drink on the show? I was like, they're college students, like it's college survivors. So sometimes I think it's good to like remind the audience that these guys are just like kids, like screwing around, you know?
Yeah, like that is what I mean. I can't speak for everyone on the cast, like whatever, but like these are people in college, so you see them only playing Survivor, but that is just a small portion of their life, or I guess when they're playing a big portion of their life, to be honest. But
Right.
like they also have so much other things going on, and it gives you a sense of these people are becoming friends outside of this little game of Survivor, and that in turn makes it so much harder to play.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like you see Jesse and Ben at a party, and they're talking about how they want to vote out Aaron, and it's like if you're going to a party and you're like drinking together and stuff, like how much closer is that relationship than the
Right.
other relationships in the game? And you start to wonder about things like that, you know?
You definitely don't see all the little like bonding that goes on behind the scenes, but that really make a big difference.
Oh, definitely, and that's what makes it so difficult too. Like especially as the game progresses and you start to like get to know these people, it makes the game much more difficult because you have the factors of all of a sudden these aren't just these nameless like random people from campus. Like these are people that are starting to become your friends. It's one of the things I think it makes College Survivor unique, especially because it takes place over so long.
Yeah.
That over after 50, 60, 70, 80 days, like that's a long time to talk with these people and get to know them.
Going back to Tafiti, it seems like Cassie has found herself in the middle of like two trios. There's Dylan, Cassie, and Sarah, and then Brady, Chloe, and Cassie. Which one do you think is the stronger trio?
Yeah, where do people think that Cassie actually lies? Is it clear from the episode? Is it still vague? Like, what do people kind of think?
I don't think it's clear, but she did mention being suspicious of Chloe and like kind of liking Dylan's vibe, so maybe more so like the Dylan and Sarah trio.
Yeah, I think that is the vibe of the episode a little bit, that she's slightly closer to that Dylan and Sarah trio, but it's weird because I think you have a Sarah confessional in there that's like, oh, I really trust Dylan, but like Cassie sometimes sketches me out, and then you also have that cross-tribe alliance that Cassie is in that is almost solidifying her more with that Brady and Chloe trio over there. So it kind of hops back and forth of which one she's actually with.
Right.
Which I think that is good positioning on Cassie's part, where she really does have the opportunity to kind of go with whatever side she wants to. Especially seeing that Emily Levy ended up getting voted off is pretty ideal for Cassie, given that like keeps everybody happy, keeps the tribe unified, but going forward, she can kind of pick which one of these trios that she wants to side with in the end. So I think that's pretty good positioning on Cassie's part.
Yeah, totally agree. If Tafiti goes back on this tribe of 5, I think obviously Cassie's in that swing position, and Cassie will be the sole person deciding who goes home. I feel like from this episode, like it's very clear that she is the most powerful person in that tribe.
Mm-hmm.
She's put herself in a very good spot.
Yep.
You don't get a huge sense of and it seems like Brady and Chloe are almost neglecting Dylan and Sarah, or not even really trying with them, is the sense you get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did get kind of a comment from Brady about how he was talking with Emily Levy about how him and Dylan have to stay in as challenge threats. I remember watching this footage from this episode. I don't think it ended up making the final cut, where Brady is basically saying that him and Dylan don't talk a ton. Like Dylan, everyone keeps saying Dylan's quiet, but he's like, we had to keep him around for challenges. I think actually no, I think that I did make the cut. Him and Chloe were talking. He's like, they're talking about whether he's just like a dumb frat boy, and he's like, I think he knows more than he lets on. And Brady was saying how we need to keep him around for challenges. So it does seem like Dylan is valued by Brady and Chloe, at least as like a challenge performer.
Yeah.
And I think you hear Chloe like ragging more on Sarah about not participating or not doing as well in the challenges and not being as much a part of the tribe. I think we do get a Chloe confessional in there, which makes you think if this were to go down to 5, maybe that side might be coming after Sarah more than Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
I love how Chloe just like hates everybody on her tribe except for Brady.
A little bit. You do get a little bit of that vibe.
She's like, I don't like Sarah. I don't know why I don't like Sarah.
Yeah. If Tormento's the brains tribe, I feel like this is the beauty tribe. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And then does that leave Sabu Sabu can't. Sabu Sabu Braun? Is that what you're saying? Here?
Sabu Sabu is like the anti-Braun tribe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like brains versus beauty versus fans.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, let's move on to a little bit of Sabu Sabu. Aliza, literally, I feel like Aliza just keeps doing the right thing. Like, she runs into Ben, and they form, like, a cross-tribe alliance. She, like, saved her tribe and won the challenge. She's really killing it right now.
Dude, Ben with these cross-tribe alliances. He's in with Sabu Sabu. He's in with Tafiti. He's in with everybody. Yeah, Andrew has a line here that was almost the episode title when he said that Aliza has the clutch factor.
Oh.
Because she came in clutch in the challenge.
She sure did.
If you watch that challenge, I mean, Aliza really was like the silent killer. Like, she's just sitting so calm, watching all these people just knock their cups over. It's unreal, really.
I think if you go back to the one time where it's her and Dylan kind of in the final two battling it out, like, she like must use some like weird mind trick to just knock Dylan's off. Like, I swear her hand doesn't move.
Dude,
you go back and watch. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about, and there's a simple solution for this, which is that Aliza has the Force, dude. Like, are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh.
Aliza literally used the Force to levitate that cup off of Dylan's ping pong paddle because I swear to God, she doesn't even get close to touching him. I don't know what happened there.
No, I swear Dylan's paddle doesn't really move. Aliza's hand doesn't get close to it, and that cup just falls. Like,
guys,
Aliza has the Force.
It was Lavana.
Oh yeah, the ghost of Lavana, right? It was like Lavana has like powers or something?
Yeah,
that's you guys' joke.
Exactly.
That makes sense. That makes about as much sense as anything else.
The question is, why does Lavana want to help Aliza?
Maybe she just hates King Dylan. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe she doesn't like she doesn't like that Dylan's competing with her for most ridiculous confessionals.
Exactly.
So she's like there can only be one ridiculous character in Survivor Michigan. That's me, Lavana. Dylan cannot.
I can't record this with you in here. You got to leave, bro.
Do you think that guy, like that roommate, like knew that he was going to have a starring role on Survivor Michigan?
I do not think so. I think that guy had no idea. I don't think Dylan had any idea we were putting that confessional in. So Aliza confirmed with the Force or helped with Lavana. We're still unsure.
Yeah. Aliza also pre-games by watching Survivor, which I gotta be honest, Cooper, like, how come we never did that?
Is that confirmed? I want confirmation from Devin or Aliza on that one.
Devin said that she said she did.
I believe it.
Do we believe it? All right.
I 100% believe that.
But, like, how does that work? Like, what do they even, like, how does it even work?
I think they just drink while they put on Survivor episodes.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
We could have turned, like, Samoa into a drinking game. Like, every time Russell says something offensive, just, like, drink.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Every time I said that if Natalie wins this season, I'm going to kill you, Cooper.
Yes.
I think we did a drinking game once for, like, one of the Survivor Michigan episodes. I'm trying to think what one it was. I swear we did.
That'd be fun.
We definitely
I think we did.
Yeah, I mean, take a drink, take a sip every time somebody insults Aaron.
Yes.
Take a shot every time Ben changes his mind about something.
You take a sip every time for every step that Ben has ahead.
Yes,
you're just gonna be, you're gonna be dead immediately.
You'll be dead so fast. Take a sip when like Sabu Sabu as a family gets mentioned.
Yeah.
Take a sip when you see Crouch's legs.
Yeah, Brady shirtless.
Shirtless Brady, yeah.
These are great. Oh
Yeah.
man! Every time
finish your drink.
Finish
changes. Your drink when Jesse's thing changes. Yeah.
Yes, you have to get a new drink.
Yeah. That's great.
Sometimes I swear, Aliza was like created in the Survivor factory where she's pre-gaming by watching Survivor. She finds the idol on the first day. She has the best. She uses her hand to levitate the cup off of Dylan's thing and wins the challenge for her whole tribe. And everyone surrounds her in this hug. And like everybody loves Aliza. Everyone wants to sit in the end with Aliza. Like it's just like Aliza is like literally like everything is just going so perfectly for her. It's just literally insane.
How could Aliza have found the idol on the first day though? Because Andrew says no one's found it yet.
That is true.
That is true.
That's true. Sabu Sabu definitely has a tough road ahead of them, as Austin says. Like we're gonna have to pull something out of our butts because both the tribes, if they team up against us, you know,
yeah,
they will. It's going to be tough. You know, there definitely is a very good strategy involved with having two tribes team up against the other one. You know, where if you have a 3-tribe format, 2 tribes team up, you have a pretty absolute majority, and that was kind of that whole thing that Ben and Brady made. You know, we'll have to see in the future what Sabu Sabu has to do in order to get themselves out of this spot that arguably Richard put them in.
I agree.
I think he did. Yeah.
It's a combination of Richard and then Emily P just kind of going over to Brady at that first challenge. Like, I think a combination of those two things, like, really set all of this in motion. And maybe you can even attribute some of it to Ben and Brady being the first two to show up on the first day. Like, I think those three things are the main factors.
One thing is, it's not, you can't tell that much by the first two episodes because Emily B did not film that much footage for these episodes. But Emily B and Eliza were a very tight duo at this point in the game. And were majorly, a factor in what was happening on that tribe.
Yeah, I think a lot of what you get from Sabu Sabu this episode, you do kind of have that, like, Dylan and Devin pair, super tight, and Eliza and Emily B are super tight. But
do you mean Crouch and Devin?
Yeah, Crouch and Devin. But really what you see is Sabu Sabu kind of, like, as a five of them, are just so tight as a family. You saw it at the last Tribal, where they kind of did their whole, like, thing after it was over, and we're like, it's us five, and Austin is all about, like, it's us, we're a family, like, we're all friends. So while the other tribes are kind of, like, splitting off and they have their own dynamics, like, really the picture you see of Sabu Sabu as a whole is, like, these five want to stick together and don't want to go to Tribal and vote anyone out.
I think it's actually really funny. We have, like, a group chat, like a group me where, like, a lot of us were watching, like, all the Survivor Michigan people were, like, watching, giving, like, live comments and stuff. And I think Erin said something where she was just like, Sabu Sabu, like, it's been, like, 2 weeks, and they're like, we're a family, like, we know each other so well. And, like, Tafiti, it's been 2 weeks, they're like, it's been 2 weeks, you don't know each other at all.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. I mean, you do think that Tafiti really hasn't had to play a lot in these first 2 weeks. They didn't go to Tribal, and then, to be fair, like, this Emily L vote was fairly unanimous from the get-go, and there was a few editing things in there to make it kind of not seem so blatant, but, like, even with that, like, you could kind of tell Emily L was going to be a goner once Tafiti had to go to Tribal. So they haven't really had to play yet that much.
One thing that I think maybe we should talk about is my brother was very confused as to why there was a vote for Cassie. He was like, who in the world voted for Cassie? That wasn't talked about by anybody. Baffled.
That's because none of the videos in the entire any of the footage explain why that Cassie vote happened, so we had no reason to explain why that Cassie vote happened.
There is something of Brady telling Emily L to vote for Cassie is what happens. But
kinda.
Because everybody else is talking about voting for Sarah, there's no way to put that in with it. It would not have made it. It would just have made no sense. Like, you basically had to just have it be, is it Sarah or Emily?
Yeah.
You couldn't throw this random Cassie thing in there that Dylan just decided, or that Brady just decided to tell her.
Yeah.
I do think actually this is fun. This is kind of funny. You know that Sarah's confessional at the end where she was like, "You should have learned my name," and then earlier in the episode, Emily Levy in her confessional says something like, I don't know. I don't remember their name, but I know that one of the girls other than me is going to go home."
Yeah.
So I think there might be a chance that she didn't know Sarah's name and just voted for the wrong person, or like that.
Agree.
She got confused about like maybe she was like, "Oh, should I vote for Cassie?" And Brady was like, okay, sure, let's do that." And actually, she was in her head picturing Sarah. There was a little bit of discussion by Brady and Chloe of like maybe we could use Emily Levy as a number, but they pretty quickly settled on Emily Levy as a result of that, Tafiti didn't really have a ton of screen time this episode, unfortunately.
There's just sadly not a lot of content you can really mine from that because you want to have as much drama as possible, and there's only so much you can have of people just saying, "Oh, Emily L's going home." So when you've got more drama on Tormenta, you got to check in on Sabu Sabu, and we're trying to keep these episodes generally under an hour. So even with a double travel, you're trying to keep it under the hour. So at the end of the day, some things have to hit the cutting room floor. In this episode, Tafiti may have gotten the short thrift or short shift or something. What is it?
Short end of the stick.
The short end of the stick.
That.
Well, there is like a short fifth. There's something like that.
The short end of the Sarah Avery stick.
Oh, that's right.
What was the stick called?
Man.
Mr. Stick. Mr. McStick.
Mr. McStick? Okay.
Yeah.
The short end of the Mr. McStick. Got it.
Yes.
Tafiti, Tribal. It seemed pretty obvious that it was going to be Emily L. because she was like, they kept hinting at like the odd one out who was like causing the tribe to not bond as well. And it just seemed like to me that Emily L. was obviously the odd one out just because she never really fit in with them from the start. And it's hard to kind of bounce back from that.
Cooper, you asked like So raise your hand if you feel like you know what's going to happen. And Sarah and Emily L were the only ones that raised their hands. So I think that Emily, despite being pretty solidly on the bottom, was very convinced that she was not on the bottom.
So I actually think I have some insider info, and I think, Ian, we've talked about this a little bit about why did Emily L raise her hand. I think that when I asked that question about like who is confident in what's happening tonight, Emily took that as like who is confident in like the procedure of like how tonight works. Like the fact that they're gonna like go vote and then like all come back and then like I will read the votes. I think she meant like I think she raised her hands because she thought that I meant like who is confident that they know how tribal council works. Now Sarah, I think, raised her hand because she was confident Emily L was going home.
Yeah, I think generally if you're at tribal, you should never raise your hand for those kinds of questions.
Yeah. I mean, we saw Devin do it in the first episode too.
It's bold.
Yeah.
Yep.
Funny thing about Sarah Minnis, I know we didn't really talk about her too much, but I thought her comment was kind of funny about like, I don't really want to watch this later and like think that I was fake, so I'm not even going to talk to Emily. So I don't want to, because I don't want to be fake.
Yeah. Hey, thank God. If that means, I think that's the reason Emily L didn't know her name, and then she didn't even get a vote. So props to Sarah on that one.
Yeah, that's some next level strategy there.
She is a million steps ahead of Ben on that one.
Talk about
Emily
like
Levy, she could not levitate her way out of trouble.
Unlike Eliza,
who can levitate cups in the air. But where Emily Levy may have failed at Survivor, she has succeeded on the Michigan You Mish Memes page, where she is an admin and a constant source of entertainment for thousands of Michigan students. So who's the real winner there? Because while she may not have survived Survivor, she is killing it in the meme world, and therefore we're happy to have her as part of the Survivor Michigan family.
yes. And I would also like to add to this eulogy just like one quick thing that I think she would have done a little better on a different tribe. Like Tafiti is like that, like such a like frat sorority people kind of vibe tribe that just like really clicked right away.
She would have fitted on Sabu Sabu.
I agree that I think she would have done
yeah.
much better on Sabu Sabu. So part of it was a little unlucky on the tribe she just kind of got stuck with.
what she could have done differently, maybe shared the clue. I definitely agree too that a lot of it was just luck of the draw, and she did not have the luck. And didn't have the knowledge to really dig herself out of the hole that she got put into. As far as ranking her against our other 17th place finishers, I think that I would put Emily in third.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree. Like, she didn't really vibe with her tribe. It was kind of always going to be her. Whereas I think Daniel, there wasn't really a whole lot of reason why it should have been him. And Jonathan, I think, was a decently good player. So those 17 boots tended to be good in the past. So I do think she is probably third.
Yeah, I mean, I think Daniel's definitely ahead of her. It was nothing he could have done. He got ruined by Kevin, basically. And Jonathan he was trying a little bit more than her. He just ended up on the wrong side of the numbers. So, yeah, she probably is last in that regard.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Nick's crazy downward spiral.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
I thought it was so funny when Ben was like, "Are you playing Yahtzee? Like, what game are you playing?"
I want it on the record that I voted for that as the episode title.
So, the thing with the episode titles is that sometimes I worry that I was considering Are You Playing Yahtzee or also She Goes to Frat Parties, but both those are particularly about the people getting voted out. And so I was like, I don't know if it really should be. I decided it's like too much of a spoiler almost to have the episode title be directly related to who's going home all the time. So
makes
that's
sense.
the main reason why. But Are You Playing Yahtzee is a great line, and it's one that I'm going to start saying all the time whenever someone's like playing a game and I don't like the way they're playing it. Be like, "Are you playing Yahtzee? Come on, what are you doing?" Also, shout out TK Kim, our editor extraordinaire, who had the genius idea to zoom in on Ben's face while Ben is talking about, "I will destroy you with you have no idea the fire you have unleashed upon me," or whatever he says.
Was that you lit underneath me?
That was all our boy TK. That was in his cut.
Oh my god,
so
that was amazing. I need to text him after
Yeah.
that.
give him the creds for that really funny moment.
That slimy rat bastard. You have no idea who you're dealing with.
I like how it's like a very calm confessional up to that point. And he's like explaining, "Oh, you're at 3:45. I got this message, yada yada yada," and then that slimy rat bastard. There's so many good lines.
Ben and Will like feed off each other's energy when they're together.
It's kind of
100%.
crazy to watch.
They're both so much. I know that Ben, I don't think it ended up making the episode, but Ben has this confessional too about, Ben has so many of these lines every video. Like, it's insane. He has one where he's like, I can't wait until we get to Tribal, and I'm just going to pop Nick's head like a balloon. And to see that, there's something like popping his like big stupid head like a balloon. It's like, oh my god, like, that's intense, dude.
I mean, yeah, like, there's also something, like, you can almost see, like, a parallel between how Richard went home and how Nick went home. Both potentially not the original Boots, both destroying their own game by running around telling everybody they want to vote everybody else out.
Yeah, they really did do the same thing.
Except for Nick knew nothing about the game beforehand, and Richard did.
Yeah.
Nick's got a nice mini arc, though. For episode 1, doesn't even know if an alliance is useful. He's
Yeah.
like, alliances, like, are they really useful, though?
He goes from not knowing what alliances are to, like, 2 days later, like, all I can think about is this game. Like, I'm thinking about it so much I'm gonna die. Like, sending these, like, frantic texts at, like, 4 a.m. Like,
Do we think that Aaron misled him on purpose? Aaron was the one that was like, yo, you, like, might need alliances. And did she send him to every single person in the game to try to make an alliance, which eventually caused his downfall and her to survive? Long-term plan by Aaron there? Anybody?
Aaron is a million steps ahead of Ben, and he's been playing 4D chess.
I can see it.
Let's talk about Nick's muddy shoes. I mean, what is this?
Oh.
Like, Emily is actually, I'm going to say one of the top 5 most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life when she says, where else is there mud?
Yeah.
As if the arm is the only place there's mud. Like, what are you talking about? There's mud everywhere. Like, what does that mean? Why would that be the only place with mud? Like, the Diag has mud, the field has mud, like, Palmer Commons has mud, like...
What are you playing, Emily? Yahtzee?
Yeah. Like, does she even believe what she's even saying there? Like, what is she talking about?
I don't know.
That's just classic, like, Ben, Will, and Emily just being completely neurotic. Like, oh my god, like, Nick's in the Snapchat. He has mud in his shoes. Like, he's searching for the idol. Like, he has the idol. Like, what are we going to do?
It's pretty funny, honestly. And then, like, do we think Ben was really ever considering flipping on his alliance? Because
No.
I don't think so.
No.
Oh, yeah. That's something that I wanted to talk about was some more of that, like, editing, storyboarding magic as far as trying to create more drama near the end. The order was kind of messed up to make it look like Ben was like going to flip before Tribal. When really what the chronology what happened was, Nick threw out Will's name. Will and Ben got this text in the morning where Will's name had been thrown out, and Will was immediately like, we need to get Nick out. Ben was like, I don't really know if we need Nick out. Like, Ben didn't really care that much. He still kind of wanted Aaron out. And that's what he was saying in the confessional. And that was that morning where he was like, even if, like, Emily and Will are going to vote for Nick, I'm still going to vote for Aaron. And then what happened was Nick threw out Ben's name. And then Ben was all of a sudden immediately like, okay, never mind. Nick's out. Like, Nick needs to go.
Are you playing Yahtzee? Yeah, and then they tell Jesse that Nick threw Jesse's name out, even though that didn't happen.
Did it? It probably did, to be honest.
Did it really?
I don't know.
Jesse didn't even care.
I think Nick threw my name out, like, truly.
Yeah, but Cooper, all Nick had to do was vote for you, and he would have been fine. So
Yeah.
That is what Ben says, and I honestly think Ben is correct.
that's a great line.
Again, Jesse has the perception here where she's like, I kind of want Nick in the game because he's kind of dumb and he has a big target on him. But kind of appeared that the other people weren't really listening to what Jesse had to say. And then kind of confirming what she was saying earlier about, like, knowing that she was kind of on the bottom of this alliance.
Yeah. The dichotomy between Jesse and Nick to me is so good. They end up on the same tribe. They're the two people that don't really know Survivor at all. And you see Nick, like, freak out and is like, he's like, oh, like, we need to make alliances, and then, like, goes absolutely berserk and tries to, like, do a bunch of crazy stuff. And Jesse is like, I could go against this 3, and I know I'm on the bottom, but that's not going to do me any good. Like, I might as well stay here, stay with the numbers, and just ride this out for a little bit. So neither of them really knew a lot of Survivor going in, but Jesse picked up how to play so quickly, and Nick just clearly does not.
Yeah, so a little bit of dramatic Tribal at first where we had this 2-2 vote, like, oh, what's it going to be? Did Ben flip? But Nick goes home 4-2. Very sad. Good for Aaron. You know, Aaron was kind of saved by this craziness by Nick. We see our friend Nicolas right off into the distance, you know, ready for his birthday when he can borrow some tables from Cooper and Ian.
Nick, if you're listening, we would like that back.
So we could listen to eulogize Nick real quick. Another classic case of overplaying, I think. He seemed very surprised when he was voted off because like he saw himself as not a threat at all. I think he just fundamentally didn't really understand alliances. He was very confused that Emily wanted to have a secret alliance. He didn't ever consider that Emily would have alliances with Will or anybody else. So when he was throwing people's names out, he didn't ever expect her to like tell those people. So that's, you know, in the end, he was kind of like, I don't want Emily to fail, you know, because he was upset with Emily, but it's like, well, what did you expect? Like, you're throwing everyone's name out to her. I think he just fundamentally just didn't understand alliances, and that's, you know, what kind of causes overplaying to bite him in the butt.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty good eulogy for Nick's game. I agree.
Nicolas is in the 16th place club.
Is Jeremy one of them?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, Jeremy and Shay are our two people.
Oh, I think Jeremy's
Jeremy
number
has to
one.
be number one, right? Like,
Yeah.
Definitely.
it's gotta be Jeremy. And then I'm gonna say Nicholas is at. I don't know. This might be a controversial take. I think he's ahead of Shay.
That's the
agree.
one. Yeah. What do you think, Cooper? You play with Shay.
I did.
True.
I did play with Shay. I was never on her tribe. This is tough. I go back and forth on this. Wow.
My reasoning is I think that Shay is such a non-factor that she had even less of it. Like, at least Nick was trying.
Yes, I think I'm going to go with the same order, but for a different reason. I think Nick is on a smaller tribe, which makes it a little bit harder. And I think
That's
that
true.
it was not always going to be Nick. I think it was always going to be Shay from the start. Whenever Maison went to tribal, Shay was going to be the one going home. And I think you see a lot of, initially in the first episode, in the first part of this episode, like Aaron is on the bottom, and only by Nick like freaking out does he change that. So maybe it's not even anything he does, but just by the fact that he's not always on the bottom of this tribe, and I think that Shay was always on the bottom of Maison, I would put Nick slightly above Shay.
Okay.
I think that's
I
good.
like that.
Interesting. That's good. That was very logical. Made sense.
Cool. Well, we're gonna have, you guys might know Paul and Joe.
Of course.
They did rankings for us last season, but they're actually gonna get their own segment now that they get to actually podcast.
Oh my god.
And they're gonna do the power rankings this week. It's gonna alternate between our interns, Taylor and Lindsay, who did week 1,
Hold
and
up.
Joe
Wait,
and Paul.
what?
Yeah, Ian, you didn't
Yeah.
listen to this?
I didn't listen to that part of it, I guess.
Yeah, they have like a
Oh, they
separate
have their
little
own
episode.
podcast? Okay, that's why I must have
Kinda,
missed
yeah.
it.
Well, it's like in the KYTL podcast, but they have a separate little power ranking episode. Yeah.
Taylor and Lindsay are doing this
Yeah.
now?
And I love how they
Wow.
call them interns. I think that's my favorite.
You're
thing.
calling them your interns? Are they like... That's hilarious. I
But
did not
yeah.
know that they were also on Teacher Torslet. Wow. If they listen to this, hi guys. Hopefully we're all still friends now after last night.
Oh,
Oh.
that is a little outside stuff happening in the real world of Survivor Michigan currently.
Oh God.
Yes, sir. I'll tell you about 6.5 later.
Yeah, I'm too old.
They
now.
came for me, Sarah, and they will regret it. That's what happened.
But the Survivor Michigan community is playing in like an online game right now, and Taylor and Lindsay just kind of came after Ian very early in the game. So give some background.
That's funny.
Yeah. Did it work out for them? No, it did not.
All right. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you guys for having us.
Even though I was helping to produce the season, I'm still kind of forgot some things that happened. So I'm really excited to see the rest of the season.
Next week, the
Yeah.
most dramatic tribal council
Oh, yeah. The most dramatic episode of reality TV, I
ever.
think.
Yeah.
I've heard it's the most exciting thing to happen since ever.
Yeah, guys.
think-
Episode 3, season 2, episode 3 was the Maggie and Jeremy saga.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this one's a saga unto itself. So
Yes, I would agree with that.
I'm hoping it lives
Yeah.
up. Like, people on Twitter are already like, how can this possibly be the most dramatic tribal? Like, how could it be better than It's Liz? How could it be better
It's Liz.
than Maggie versus Jeremy, which I guess are being ranked as the two like craziest tribals? But I mean, it gives them a run for their money, I think.
I think it is better.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's better. I think it's the best one. I think that you guys will remember this as the most iconic tribal so far.
Yeah.
It's something, all right. It is an
Crazy.
adventure.
All right. Make sure you guys tune in.
Well,
All
thank you
right.
guys.
Cooper, have fun peeking at Andrew.
I'm actually peeking at him right now, and he's in the middle of one of his confessionals. I'm very curious what he's saying.
Bye.
See you guys. Thanks for having us.